Guys, now 10 weeks out, so now very much looking forward towards the shows as we head into single digits towards those main shows as we talked about, which is the state and national show. But let's dive in, let's talk about all things nutrition, training, and of course, mindset. Okay, so there's a few things to update you guys on in terms of what's been happening over the last week, a week and a bit. So in terms of nutrition, we're going to talk about nutrition first, recap training, also a check-in with Joey, just sort of how that works and where it works and how we're sitting. And then lastly, mindset, which is probably the main thing. So when we talk about nutrition, so I've had a little adjustment there. My carbohydrates and fats are brought down. 15 grams of carbs and 2 grams of fat. Still continuing the system of slightly higher calorie days on my training days, which is 5, and then lower carbohydrates and lower fats on my non-training days. So weekend just gone, they were the 2 lower days because I'm training Monday through to Friday, rest day, Saturday and Sunday. So I felt a bit of fatigue definitely with those lower days, but again, I think that was just down to meal timing and so on. So not reading a whole lot to that. Otherwise, energy has been pretty good. Just being very, very clever with how I'm managing my nutrition. I've looked at a few substitutions, but in all, I've really tried to keep the meal structures very similar. So people that do follow me on Instagram probably see some of the meals that I'm having. Again, very similar. What I have done with the slightly lower calories is I look to include a little bit more focus with corn thins. So where I've gone from English muffins and bread previously, which is my pre-workout main carbohydrate source, I've gone now to corn thins. Basically just looking at clever substitutions, but still keeping a similar meal structure. So my breakfast when I wake up, so I do basically about 5,000 steps on the beach. As soon as I wake up, I come back and I usually have yogurt, so YoPro with a little bit of protein powder mixed in. So purely protein based. And then a couple hours later, that's when I'm looking at a pre-workout meal. So again, corn thins, eggs, and egg whites to boost that protein up, a little bit of avocado and cottage cheese is kind of the general combination. Of course, there's a coffee as soon as I sort of wake, and then there's also a coffee that I'm having sort of prior to training, which helps with the caffeine. No pre-workout has been used. It's been used very sparingly throughout this prep, but I'm aware that I may need to use it in those final stages. After training, that's when I'm still looking at a banana smoothie, protein-based, of course, as well as some extra corn thins to boost the carbs up. And I've also included some rock melon in there as well. Get some more dietary fiber, help with the satiety and fullness, and also just more nutrients, obviously. So that's been nice. And then later on, having some more eggs, cottage cheese, and avocado sort of in the afternoon. And in the evening, that's from having kind of a slightly bigger meal that's still around sort of 600 to 700 calories. And that's mainly because I don't want to go to bed hungry. So that's sort of how I'm spacing out my nutrition. Like I said, it's been very much the same for the last 10 to 15 weeks, just simply adjusting the quantities, adjusting the carbohydrate source, and probably relying a little bit more on, say, egg whites for volume, predominantly over these last few weeks, and that will continue going forward as well. So obviously volume, we've talked about probably at the start of prep how I was going to be very, very clever with how I use that, and I've tried to leave volume, the volume gain tool as late as possible, and of course there's still things like salads and so on that I haven't necessarily utilized yet, and that will come. So it gives you a good recap of nutrition. Again, just kind of really focusing on pre-training, keeping that really, really good, and then keeping my before bed meal full, so I'm going to bed satiated, and sleeping well, which is obviously really important. Training-wise, nothing major has changed. I'm still battling a few niggles with my knee and also my left shoulder, left lat. Nothing major, and I think, for those that do train, probably know what I'm talking about. There are constant niggles. My left knee has been an issue for years and years and years. It's something I'm working with Dan on. And look, I think we're doing the best we can with what we've got. Obviously, me pushing the limits with bodybuilding doesn't really help in terms of the recovery process. But look, I think all in all, training is going well. Intensity and performance is more or less being really, really good. There's still been a strong focus on progressive overload. I think it's just, keeping a really good mindset in that training is the key. And then I was linking that with the nutrition. Thirdly, so you had a check-in with Joey just on Friday. So we are sitting at 40 millimeters on the dot. So I'm very, very happy with that. That's what I was kind of secretly hoping for. So our last skin folds, I think in our previous video I said was 51. So I think 4 or 5 weeks we've dropped sort of 11 mil. Very happy. Based on what we spoke about, we're probably aiming for 25 millimeter at this stage. So about 15 millimeter to go over 10 weeks. Look, I think that's very doable. But obviously the body will adapt and adapt and adapt throughout this dieting process, and it's going to get harder to lose body fat. So that gives you a bit of a rundown with how the physique is sort of looking body fat wise. I'll chuck some photos here that we took in our check-in. And yeah, we went through posing, primarily looking at the physique posing, given that's the first show. And then obviously 2 weeks later, we've got physique as well as the men's fitness pro show. So yeah, that's sort of the focus, and even mindset wise, like physique I haven't done since 2016. Obviously men's fitness I have done 2019. It's something I'm very, very, very comfortable with. But the posing practice will definitely ramp up. It has to ramp up over the next few weeks. It's something I can definitely improve on. And lastly, look, mindset. Mindset has been pretty good. As much as, the weeks are ticking by and we're now to, just entering single digits, I'm not necessarily fixating mindset on the end result. I'm very much kind of appreciating the process I'm in and appreciating each day, appreciating the little changes that I'm seeing in my physique, appreciating the pump, how good everything is looking and feeling after training or during training. And I think that's probably allowing me to really enjoy the process a little bit more. Last preparation, 2019, I was coaching myself. I haven't had a coach for a number of years. So I think having both Dan and Joey, looking after nutrition and training is really allowing me to kind of sit back and appreciate the process, take one day at a time. It's been my motto throughout this whole prep. It generally is my motto in life, but particularly when you're chasing a goal, to kind of just focus on what you can achieve day to day, trying not to get overwhelmed with the task. And prep is just like that. It's very, very easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to put your head up and start looking at, where everyone else is and where you want to be. But, what we need to focus on is ticking the boxes each and every day. So that's what I'm really focusing on. Yes, there has been a couple of sessions where things haven't necessarily gone to plan. And there's definitely some times where I've probably wanted to push myself that little bit more, particularly in the lower body. And I've kind of been a little bit cautious just with some of these niggles, which has been hard to take because I like to put my all into absolutely everything. But again, kind of being clever where needed. So mindset's pretty good. Even on the weekend, obviously my partner is prepping as well for the same competition, which makes it very, very easy. It means when we're, planning steps and planning nutrition, we can plan around that. So I'm very grateful for that. I think it is definitely a challenge for some people who don't have that support network, or they have the support, but it's not necessarily fully understood. Obviously when you're prepping with a partner, they understand exactly what you're going through. And obviously I've done this plenty of times before. So even though every time is very different and unique, and I'm well aware of that, and I preach that to a lot of our clients, to respect that each time you do, for example, prep for a competition, you have to appreciate it's a different time, it's a different timeline, different circumstances. But no, drawing on past experience now, but obviously staying in the moment, focusing on day to day. So mindset's really good. Look, hopefully that gives you a great little recap of the last week and a half. As I said, I want to make these more regular, and hopefully you guys will get a lot of insight into what these last 10 weeks looks like. And I've said before, we kind of finished, I would say, the sort of lean phase now. We're really kind of entering this, what I like to call conditioning phase. So where things come together, conditioning or presentation, we're going to really reveal the physique and all the hard work we put in over the last few years. So I'm excited, I'm pumped. Bring it on, and can't wait to the next update to show you guys more. Thanks for watching.